Hello, my name is Joshua and welcome to Living on this Deep Ridge channel. This video is hopefully coming out after my end of month video. I'm actually recording this before, sorry for messy hair. Once again. So it's just like the middle of 2022. So I thought today we'd do a tier list of all of the films that I've watched in 2022 up to this point. And then at the start of next year, I'll do a video on the films that I watched in the second half. Once again, we got Tier Maker up here, and I've created another tier list. So first we got 300. I thought this was a pretty good film. Really great visuals from Zack Snyder, but I just didn't find it that interesting when the battle scenes weren't going on. It just wasn't a lot going on, but it is very visually stunning, and that's one of the main parts of this film that I think makes it hold up to this day. There's iconic lines in this film, like "This is Sparta" and that. It's an iconic film, but I don't really want to come back to it, so I'll put it in C tier. So yeah, let's go for Airplane next, I guess. Really great spoof movie, really well made, really ahead of its time. Some jokes have aged better than others, but all around very influential film. A tier. Airplane 2. I do think there's a really underrated, underappreciated follow-up. There's a bit of rehashing in it, but they do acknowledge it. And some of the jokes do stand up to the first, I think. I do think it's a pretty decent sequel to the first, so I'll put it in C. No, I might move it up to B. American Psycho. This is going in S tier. This is a phenomenal film. A great character study. Really memeable. An all-time classic. I like that aspect of comedy in this film. It's just great. I just love this film. Battle Royale. This is a really good foreign film. I don't watch much foreign films, but this was a really great one. I like the concept. The concept was really original for the time, I think. And yeah, I enjoy it. I'll put it in B. I don't think it's as memorable as some of the others on this list, but yeah. Be Kind Rewind. Oh god. This is probably a bit of a controversial opinion here, but I didn't really care for this film. It just felt really weird. I thought I was going to enjoy it because it was made by the same director as Eternal Sunshine, which is my favourite film of all time, but it just didn't interest me at all. The concept was just weird. Everything felt outlandish. And some of the acting just wasn't the best as well. Sorry. I'll put it in C. Bruno. This is one of the films that I actually watched at the end of last year, but I didn't put it on my tier list because I made that tier list video before I watched this film and Yes Man. Great Sacha Baron Cohen film. It has his humour all over it. It's amazing how he can like engulf himself into these roles and just go out there in the real world as this character he's created. It's just amazing. The humour can be a bit much sometimes, and sometimes the jokes are not the best, but it's just such a great concept. But Borat did it better though. I'll put it in B. Chip and Dale. I thought this was a really decent film. I thought the concept of like merging the animation world together, like having all these characters and cameos appear. It's cameo galore and I just love it. The story is really simple. I'll put it in B. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Wait, let me start with Rise. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I think this is a really great start to the Planet of the Apes trilogy. I really like Caesar as a character and his relationship with James Franco's character. His evolution in this film is just really great, but I think it lacks the visuals and the flair that the next two films have, so I'm going to put this in B. Then we've got Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I think this is a really great sequel. I like Caesar's evolution even more. He becomes even more of a leader, and it's just great seeing the interaction between him and the humans and everything. Great film. I'm going to put it in A tier. Then we have War for the Planet of the Apes. Really great conclusion to the Planet of the Apes trilogy. Probably the most dramatic out of the three, probably most emotional, and such a great conclusion. I'm going to put it in A tier as well. Then we have District 9. I think this is a really great film. It's produced by Peter Jackson, I think, but I can't remember what it's directed by. I love the sci-fi elements. I like how it's like in a mockumentary style for parts of this film. It just gives different points of views on the situation and that. And I love the main character who you think is like the villain at first, but then you root for him more and more as the film goes on. I think I'm going to put it between S and A. So I think I'm going to go add a tier. Well, not Q tier. Let's put it in Q tier. Then we have Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is a phenomenal film. The visuals are amazing. Soundtrack's amazing. The action is great. Such an original concept. It's just something you don't see these days with films. You don't see concept as original as this. And I think this film pulls it off perfectly. I'm going to put it in S tier. Then we have El Camino. I think this is a really good continuation of Breaking Bad. It is kind of needed because I think the way we left Jesse's character off, I think was a good place, but I like how it continued. It didn't feel like a disservice to Breaking Bad at all. It just built on Jesse's character. So yeah, I'll put it in A. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Let me just yeah, this deserves its own tier completely, bruv. I love this film. Definitely my favourite film of all time now. It took a while to like settle on me if I did think it was my favourite film of all time. But now I definitely view it as my favourite film of all time. Probably one of the most emotional films that I'll watch. It left a really big impact on me. I just love it. I don't really know why I threw this in here, but I did. Harry Potter Returns to Hogwarts. I mean, it's a good reunion from the cast of Harry Potter. It's just not on the same level as all of these films, really. I'll put it in C. Then we have Hot Fuzz. I think this is the best film in the Cornetto trilogy. Just love Edgar Wright's style and direction in this film. Like the buddy cop aspect of it, with like a massive weird twist which Edgar Wright manages to pull off in all three of these Cornetto trilogy films. Yeah, it's just such a great and funny film. I'm gonna put it in S tier. Hustle. I think Adam Sandler's acting in this film was really great. This is a really decent film. Not the biggest fan of sport as well, but I like the basketball player aspect, and the relationship between him and the basketball player was great as well. It felt like Rocky from like the trainer's perspective. I just think it's a really solid film that came out this year. I'll put it in A. Then we got the first Jackass film, just a bunch of guys goofing around, injuring themselves for our entertainment. Again, it's not really up to the standards of like all of the films on this list, like the Harry Potter one. They're like different segments in the film. It's just great seeing all of the weird and disgusting things these guys do. Yeah, I'll put it in B. Jackass number 2, I think this is improvement over the first. There's some even better jokes and gags in this film. A tier. Jackass 3, I think this film is really great as well. They do one-up themselves with like the intros and outros of every film. They do one-up themselves sometimes in the gags as well. Again, there is some funny moments in this film, so yeah. Jackass Bad Grandpa. This is a Jackass story with an actual narrative, which the other two films were lacking, but it's not as funny. It was really fun seeing Johnny Knoxville play this old guy for the whole duration of the film. Overall, it is a pretty solid addition to the Jackass franchise, so I'll put it in B. Then we have Jackass Forever. I'm going to put this in Q tier. I think this is the best out of the Jackass films. You're just the funniest out of the films. Like how they introduced celebrities into the film as well. For some reason, I've got Genius in here. I've also got the Cuphead show here for some reason as well. I don't know why I've got this as well. Let's just keep those two at the bottom. Little Miss Sunshine. This is a really great film in terms of like direction. The humour is pretty good in this film. It's very subtle. It's a road trip story with tragedy. It's just really great. The relationships between all of the family in this film are really great as well. S tier. No, I'm going to put it down to Q tier actually. Still a really great film. Then we got Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, directed by Kenneth Branagh, starring Kenneth Branagh. I didn't really like this film. I think this film could have been way better if it was just directed slightly different and the dialogue was slightly different. I just don't think the direction was that great in this film. But I like the choices that Kenneth Branagh made in this film in terms of like adapting the novel into like different ways and changing stuff up, so I do appreciate that. I'll put it in C tier. Man on the Moon. I think this is a really great biopic on Andy Kaufman's life. Really emotional at points, just really great seeing his rise and fall, and the performance by Jim Carrey is really great, even though he did some weird things behind the scenes. Yeah, I'll put it in Q tier. Then we've got the first Pirates of the Caribbean film. It's a really great swashbuckling adventure. Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow is just iconic. Score is iconic. The concept of the Black Pearl is great. Yeah, Q tier. Then we have the second film. I think this film was too long for me. I think it's my least favourite in the trilogy. It just goes on for too long. The CGI on Davy Jones is amazing, and all of his scenes are really great, but the rest I just found to be pretty mediocre. I'll put it in B. Then we have At World's End. Pretty good conclusion. Again, really long. It's nearly 3 hours. Great conclusion. Some great cinematography choices in this film as well. Everything that goes on in this final film is just really great. I'll put it in A tier. Then we got Pulp Fiction. I think this film has to sit with me a bit. It's like one of the most highly rated films I've like ever watched. A lot of people have said like it's their favourite movie of all time. I'm not feeling that yet. I think it has to sink in for me. I like how different it is. The direction choices in this film made by Quentin Tarantino. Everything being like out of order and non-chronological. It like adds to the film, it adds suspense to it, and adds all this kind of mystery to it. Acting is really great. I was interested in all of these different stories, especially Bruce Willis's. I'll put it in Q tier. I might have to watch it again to really appreciate it. The first Scream film. This film is just really fun slasher film. It's really meta, which I like, and it's just a great mystery. It's just fun to watch. I'm gonna put it in S tier. Then we got Scream 2. I think this film was a decent follow-up. They killed off Randy, which I do not like. It it was a ballsy move, and I just think the reveal of the Scream killers was a little bit underwhelming as well. I still do think it's a really fun film, not as good as the first. I'm gonna put it in B. Then we've got Scream 4. I think the twist in this film was really great, nearly up there with the first in my opinion. Again, it's really rewatchable. There is some weird directing choices, like the colour grading in this film looks really awful, but yeah, really great sequel. I'll put it in A. Actually, I think I'll move Scream down to Q, put Scream 4 in A. They've got Scream 5. I think this is a really good legacy sequel. Like the new characters introduced, like in Scream 4. The legacy characters play a lesser part in this film than they do in Scream 4. And new characters introduced are really great. When they get killed off, really creative. Probably the most bloodiest out of the Scream films. I'll put it in A tier. Then we got Shaun of the Dead. I think I'm going to put this in S tier. Just another classic film in the Cornetto trilogy. Really well done. It's just a classic, from needle drops to the iconic moments in this film, iconic dialogue. It's just great. I like how Edgar Wright uses like foreshadowing with the dialogue as well. Just really great. S tier. Then we've got Sonic 2. I forgot completely about this film. I do think it's a pretty good sequel. I think it improves on the first film in a lot of ways. I just don't remember much from it. There are some fun moments in it, I think. Put it in B tier. Then we've got Supersonic. I think that's a pretty good documentary on the like rise of a racist, told through Noel and Liam. It's just really great, really interesting to listen to, and I think the visuals shown in this film really creative as well in moments. I'll put it in B tier. Then we've got The Bad Guys. I think it's a really well animated film. Love the animation in this film. Absolutely phenomenal. I think the plot is really simplistic and it is generic and predictable at points, but overall I think it's a fun little film. I'll put it in A tier. Then we've got Ted. I think this is a really fun film from the mind of Seth MacFarlane. It's just fun. You can definitely see his Family Guy style coming across into this film, and yeah, there's some really great jokes in this film. I'll put it in B. I think I'm gonna add a new tier. Let's do P tier. I'm gonna put Ted in this tier. I'm gonna put this in this tier. I'll put the first Jackass and Bad Grandpa in this tier as well. I'll put Bruno in this tier as well. I think that seems fitting. Then we've got The Batman. I think this is a really great original Batman film from Matt Reeves. Cinematography is phenomenal. Score is really original and iconic. Just a really great Batman story, which is one of the best live action Batman films, I think. Q tier. Then we have The 40-Year-Old Virgin. So it's a really great comedy film. Has some great comedic moments. Has some really classic moments. Really funny. Really rewatchable. It is really long. It's over 2 hours, but it manages to keep me interested throughout that whole runtime. And it's just a great comedy film. I give it a B tier. Then we have The Maze Runner. I think this film is pretty generic. I do like some of the shots in this film. It does show the grandeur of the maze. The concept is really interesting, but obviously it is based on a book. Just the characters in this film are very one note at moments. When they get killed off, I don't care. I think the concept and the exploration of the maze is pretty great. Yeah, C tier. Then we've got The Mummy. This is just such a fun film. Brendan Fraser, come on, it's just Brendan Fraser. Just a great adventure film. I do think the Egyptian mythology bits of this film do get a bit boring at moments, but all the stuff with Brendan Fraser and everyone is it's so fun. I like the horror elements at moments as well. It's just a great film, I'm going to put it in B tier. Then we've got At World's End. This is a pretty good conclusion to the Cornetto trilogy. Not as good as the first two, but it is a still really good concept. Like the sci-fi aspect introduced. Again, really fun film. Just really love this trilogy overall. Then we have Tremors. This is just a really fun film starring Kevin Bacon about massive worms coming up from the ground to eat people. It's just fun. It's just crazy. It's just mad. I'll put it in B tier. Then we've got Tremors 2 Aftershocks. I think this is a decent follow-up. It's not as memorable or as interesting as the first film. It does lack in a bit of flair that the first film had. Obviously, Kevin Bacon doesn't return in this film as well, but it does have some good moments. I'll put it in C tier. We've got Turning Red. I think this is really great Pixar film. Pixar never misses in my opinion, apart from Cars 2. But the worst they can do usually is an extremely average film. But this film is just great. I love Maylin Lee as a character. It just gives me nostalgia for some reason, even though I didn't even grow up in the early 2000s. It's just a really funny concept. It's just a fun time. Cuter. Then we've got The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I think it's a really fun film. I like how Nicolas Cage is very self-aware in this film and he doesn't take himself too seriously. I like how he plays himself. It's really fun. His relationship with Pedro Pascal's character is just really great as well. I'm calling a lot of these films fun, but It just is fun. I don't know how else to describe it. Then we got The Way, Way Back. I do think this is a bit of a forgettable film. I don't care for the main character that much. I don't really like him that much. Steve Carell doesn't play that much of a great guy in this film. I don't like Steve Carell playing bad people. I do like Sam Rockwell in this film. He is really funny in this film. He really carries this film for me. I like the water park aspects. I put it in Peter, I think. Then we got Yes Man. This is a nostalgic one for me because I used to watch this when I was young. Obviously I like Jim Carrey as well. I like the concept, and it just leads to lots of funny stuff. Just really great moments. It's not the best of Jim Carrey's filmography, but I do think it's really solid. Just a really good comedy film. I'll put it in Beta. Then we've got Zoolander. I just love Ben Stiller's direction in a lot of his filmography. Just really funny. I think this is the best of the films I've watched in his filmography. It's just really great. It's so goofy, it's so absurd. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in A tier. I've got Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Like Sam Raimi's direction in this film, brings an interesting style to the MCU, which I haven't seen before. I do think the writing was a bit dodgy in moments, and Wanda's character switch was a bit sudden. I do think her character arc overall was pretty good, and there were some great moments in this film. I'll put it in Beta. And finally, we've got The Adam Project. I'm going to leave these two here because these are shows. Don't know why I've put them in this tier list. As you can see, I've left D tier blank so far. That is because I'm putting this film in there because I don't like it. I think this is the worst film that I've watched this year. I'm sorry. The sci-fi elements in this film just don't interest me. It's not as fun as I expected it to be. When Mark Ruffalo got introduced, I did regain interest, but I just lost it again. I didn't care for the plot at all. I like the concept of Ryan Reynolds interacting with his younger self, but they just kind of forget about that in just the rest of the film. It doesn't lead to a great film for me. I'll put it in D tier. So those are all of the films that I've watched in the first half of 2022. I think I'm going to swap these round a bit, and I'm going to put the films I like the most in that tier at the front. Right, so I think this is how I'm feeling about right now. I think I've ranked them in around the order that I'd like them to. Here they all are. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please a like. Don't please a dislike. And I'll see you in the next video.